The story of Bamidbar is the in the desert book. The story of Bamidbar is a deeply tragic one. It's really an awful, difficult, hard story. It's a long, extended series of disappointments and betrayals and just discord and bitterness and anger and like a just kind of there's a chord running through the book of just a deeply pathological unhappiness and just out of placeness among the people. And just in general, deserts are they're just hard, difficult places. They're places without the basic means of human sustenance and just the signs of life and the things that we need to flourish. Deserts, Bamidbar is hard, and deserts are hard. And so it's all the more striking. It's really amazing that in looking back on the Bamidbar experience later on in Tanakh and in Hosea and other places, and then in Chazal, they look back at the Jewish people's time in the desert as through a deeply romantic lens. It was a wonderful time of youthful exuberance of the Jewish people following God out into the desert in the purity of faith and love and joy, and a time that we long to get back to. If only God says, hey, if only it could be like it was when we were in the desert together and things were good and things were right. And so it's really jarring and just kind of remarkable. I want to read just one piece of midrash on this that spells out just like one aspect of what Chazal are getting at in the story, and then to reflect on just what it means for us. Mashal is from Bamidbar Rabbah towards the beginning, and special thanks to Avi Cooper who first read this midrash to me. Nasi shenichnas limdina. It's some form of leader of royalty who enters in a king enters into the province. Virau otso b'nei hamadina, and really it's a new place as he hadn't been to yet. And the people in that province see him and they flee. They say, we want nothing to do with this leader. They're terrified and they run away. The two, they're out of sync. There's something that doesn't match. Nichnas l'shniya, he goes into a new province. Says, maybe this one will be better. Maybe my relationship with the people will go well. Ubarchu milfanav, and they flee from before him. And he's just like, what's going on? It's just why can't I find success and happiness in relationship with the people? And then finally, he says, you know what? Maybe I'm going to go somewhere a little out of the main metropolis, somewhere a little farther out in the boondocks. He goes out to a desert city. Vikidmu Otso, somewhere out in the wilderness. Vikidmu Oto, and the people, instead of running away, the people come out to greet him. And they praise him. Amar Hanasi Zohair Tovahi. He says this city out in the wilderness is better than any of the big city metropolises, the big provinces. Kanani Bona Case Kanani Dar. This is where I'm going to build my throne, and this is where I'm going to live. This is where I want to make my home. Out here in the wilderness with these amazing people who almost magically seem to actually like me, the king says. He says, I can't find this anywhere else. No one else. They have no time for me in the cities and where things are going well, where they have abundance and wealth and all their needs are met. The king says, no one, at best, no one cares about me, and at worst, they're scared of me because presumably I might make demands of them that they don't want to meet, and then they have everything they need, and any demands I make on them, they feel like it's going to be a net loss, and so they just want nothing to do with me at all. But in the desert where things are sparse and things are hard and rugged, and everyone knows that if they're going to make a life, everyone needs to chip in. Everyone needs to help each other just to make the basic means of subsistence. Everyone understands that they can't do it on their own. And they're all in this together, and that's the only way they're going to be able to make a life. And there, when the king shows up, and someone who can help them with their needs and can call them to be a collective under a king and to do what needs to be done for the community and for the collective, then they rejoice. They come, please come join us, they say to the king. And he says, this is where I want to be. And so I'm thinking about the time that we're in, and there's no question. There's beyond no question. It is a deeply tragic time, a time of loss and tragedy and catastrophe, a time of death. And it's just also just a difficult time. It's the things that are normally easy are hard, and we're lacking the basic modes of community and togetherness that make life the good that it is. And everything is just hard. Everything is like grocery shopping is just a little bit harder, and getting the things we need is just a little bit harder. Like doing our jobs is like just really hard around, and just getting by is harder and difficult. And that's all true, and that was true of the Bamidbar experience. And somehow the Chazal, the story, and even already in Tanakh, they say the hope is that we can eventually look back on that story as, yes, a time of tragedy and difficulty, but also as a time of romance and youthful exuberance, a time when we discovered our love for each other and our love for God and our love for being a community that cares for each other, that takes care of each other. Yeah, it's just it seems like an extraordinary challenge, but I also feel like it feels deeply real. I mean, this is just the sheer number of when things are going well, it's now we don't want anything to do with God and with community. We don't have time for it. We want to run away. But when our human needs become bare and naked and clear, we find ourselves just naturally called to doing what needs to be done and to welcoming God into our lives. And here God means the call and obligation for us to be the kind of people that care for each other, and in that way to welcome God into our lives. And so that's the hope. It's also responsibility, is to make this a time that where we remember the tragedy, remember the difficulty, but also we look back to it as the time when we forged a community of love with God and on his throne at the center of the town out here in the wilderness. Wishing everyone a wonderful Shabbos.